Welcome back to the third part of one man's faith. As we're looking at Hebrews chapter 4, and I asked you to turn to Psalm 78 he just said, "Be diligent to enter that rest, so that no one will fall through following the same example of disbelief." So Psalm 78 gives us a hint of what happened here. Now, I want you to understand too, Psalms is mentioned a lot in Hebrews. It's taken as, if I can say, gospel. It's not just poetic form, something just to read and be enamored by. It's I don't know if you realize it in chapter 1, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 6 times a psalm is quoted just in chapter 1. And it's quoted in many places here as we're looking. And Psalm 78 gives us the story of them coming out of Egypt. And in verse 21, I just want to read a little bit down there. "Therefore the Lord heard and was full of wrath, and a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also mounted against Israel, because they did not believe in God and did not trust his salvation. Yet he commanded the clouds above and opened the doors of heaven." Isn't that like God? Even though we rebel and don't believe him, he'll pour out heaven upon us. We don't deserve it, but God gives it to us. Verse 24, "He rained down manna upon them to eat and gave them food from heaven. Man did eat the bread of angels." That's what that manna was. He says there, it's the bread of angels. "He sent food in abundance. He caused the east wind to blow in the heavens, and by his power he directed the south wind. When he rained meat upon them like dust, he gave them meat." They quarreled and said, "We want meat. We're tired of manna." And God rained meat down upon them. And so God gave them every day manna. And I think once a week he brought meat. Normally in the form, it says, of quail, winged fowl. Winged fowl. And so they were satisfied. In spite of all this, verse 32 says, they still sinned and did not believe in his wonderful works. How? It just bothers me to think that God did all these things, and they would quit believing. It says in verse 40, "How often they rebelled against him in the wilderness and grieved him in the desert. Again and again they tempted him," or tested him, "and pained the Holy One of Israel." Oh. "They did not remember his power, the day when he redeemed them from the adversary, when he performed his signs in Egypt and his marvels in the field of Zoan." They didn't even remember that, going back that far. They didn't remember his power of his leading them through the Red Sea, taking them over on dry land, and then allowing the Egyptians to get into the midst of the Red Sea and collapsing the water on top of them. They didn't remember these things. They didn't believe. It didn't stick with them. I think they had their mind set on that we're going to the promised land. And it must be Moses that's doing this for us. Go over to 106, Psalms 106. Just flip over, 30 or so Psalms there. Here's another look at that. Psalm 106, verse 11. "The waters covered their adversaries. Not one of them was left." Okay, so he's talking again about the Red Sea collapsing over. Let's make our own beast and let's go back. You see, they were... They exchanged their glory for a dumb idol. And we do the same thing. We exchange the glory of God for football, soccer. It becomes our idol. Why is it our idol? Because we put it before God. That's what an idol is. It's anything we put before God. Staying at home and resting on Sunday is an idol before God. You may not like that, but that's exactly what it is. We exchange our glory. It's our glory. It doesn't say they exchanged his glory. It says they exchanged their glory. He is their glory. Now he mentions here, I want you to see this. He opened up, the earth opened and swallowed up Dothan and engulfed the company of Abiram. When did that happen? All right, well, you remember a dude named Korah? I don't know why we give so much credence to Korah and call this Korah's rebellion, because even there in Psalm 106, he doesn't mention Korah. He mentions two other guys, Dothan and Abiram. Well, Psalm 15 is a place that we can go to see that. And they were in the wilderness. They were wandering. They already had the tent of meetings. And God was giving them commands. And so Moses tells the people what God wants. And the last thing that's mentioned here is that he says, I want you to make tassels and I want you to put them on your clothing so that you will remember the commandments. Okay? And he says, so as to do them and not follow after your own heart. He's trying to, the Lord said, put these things on because I want you to remember who I am so that you don't forget, so that you'll walk with me, okay? And then it says in chapter 16, it says, now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi. Okay? Being the son of Levi, that makes him a priest. It goes on and says, with Dothan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, the sons of Reuben. So we have some that are from the tribe of Levi, which are the priests, and we have others from some of the other tribes. But Dothan and Abiram are from the tribe of Reuben. And they took action. They rose up before Moses together with some of the sons of Israel. 250 leaders rose up. And they assembled together and they said, you've gone too far. They were saying this to Moses. For all the congregation are holy, every one of them. And the Lord is in their midst. So why do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord? Have they forgotten that they didn't want to hear God speak to them? When Moses got them to the mount and Mount Horeb, God said, I'm going to come down, I'm going to speak to you. And he came down onto the mountain and spoke. He spoke the Ten Commandments. He spoke it. And the people said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Moses, you go to God and then you come and tell us. We don't want to hear that anymore. They were afraid of it. And yet now they're coming back and saying, why do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord? One of the meekest persons, one of the most humblest persons was Moses. And they're trying to say that and now listen to what happens. Verse 4 of 16, when Moses heard this, he fell on his face and he spoke to Korah and to his company saying, listen, tomorrow morning the Lord will show who he is and who is holy and will bring him near to himself, even the one with whom he chose. He will bring near to himself. Do this, take your censers, Korah, and all your company, and put fire on them, and lay incense upon them in the presence of the Lord tomorrow. And the man whom the Lord chooses shall be the one who is holy. You have gone far enough, you son of Levi. So he's saying, okay, you come, you bring your censer. We'll let God choose. We'll let God choose. Okay? I got to take a break. So let's take that break, and I'll be right back.